Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, my good friend from the Pack Theater, Fernando.
Hey, what's up, Jay? Thanks for having me here, man. I'm excited to be on the show.
Dude, super happy to have you. I, in particular, I mean, I love you as a performer. I love your energy, and I really love your pick because it is so. It's far and away out of all of my 200 something episodes that I've done of this show, the weirdest pick, I think.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself.
Like one of the weirdest, most obscure picks. It is Sting Moment of Truth.
Oh my God, yes. I know. All right, when you said pick a movie you hate, I was like, fuck. All right. There's movies I hate that I won't ever watch again. There's movies that I'll hate. I'm like, I know this will be bad. I know it's going to be bad, but I'm going to enjoy how bad it is. And that's like one of these movies because it's like, I feel bad because if you don't know who Sting is, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And he has such a shitty biopic.
He really does. For those of us like me who are not huge wrestling fans, and I don't want to say fans because I like pro wrestling. I've just never been like absorbing the culture and sucked into it the way that a lot of people in the comedy world have. Because I do know there's a lot of comics and improvisers and stuff who are big fans of wrestlers. There's a lot of parallels between wrestling and comedy in terms of the way like you start out doing these shit gigs in the middle of nowhere and you have to really work your way through the ranks. I don't even know where to start, honestly. Tell us about why this movie. Like, are you a huge Sting fan? Are you a big wrestling guy? What is it?
So I've been thinking about this. So I am a huge Sting fan. Like when I was a little kid, I remember my 10th birthday, my favorite tia, she made me a birthday cake with it. And she knew I was into wrestling. I was into WWF, but she put WCW guys. So it was like Ric Flair and like Sting and Hulk Hogan at the time. But I loved it. I was like, hell yeah. So that's why I fell in love with Sting was that birthday cake. It was an amazing, best latest birthday cake. Love you, Tia Silvia. She's an awesome woman. And from that moment, I started watching WCW more, as much as WWF. So I'm like, oh, Sting's badass. Sting was huge in the 90s. He was like the big baby face. Baby face is like the good guy in wrestling.
Right.
He was huge, just like one of the biggest stars of WCW, one of the biggest stars ever. Stuff happened. He fell off the map because he wasn't part of like the next phase of wrestling. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, when I was in college, he wrote this book called Sting Moment of Truth. And this used to be a book. So believe it or not, this is a film adaptation of a book.
Right. Yeah. And it's,
so I don't know if you caught that. Yeah, go for it.
I caught that. Yes. And because that's the thing is this is how obscure this movie is. I think this has only happened once in this history of this podcast. This doesn't have a Wikipedia page. It just has IMDb and Amazon. And this is such an obscure pick. So Sting has his own Wikipedia page, but even on the Wikipedia page, this isn't mentioned.
I think he's genuinely embarrassed by it. I want to meet Sting one day, so I hope he doesn't hear this podcast, me talking shit in this movie. But that movie is like, I don't know who told him to make it. All right, the book isn't that good either. All right, I love wrestling. The book isn't that great. All right, just cause if you're gonna watch it, it's a sales pitch to like convert to Christianity.
Yeah, because it's all about Sting becoming a born again Christian.
Yes, it is, which is fine. I have no problem with Christians or religion, but just all right. If you read the book, all right. If everybody's listening, go read Bret Hart's book. That's probably the best wrestling autobiography of all time. Probably Ric Flair's next because they're candid about it. Hey man, we were in a hotel room. Doing coke off of hookers' tits and stuff because we just wrestled for 4 hours straight and I haven't slept in 48 hours. Like, not that that's like cool or anything. It's just like they lived such hard lives back then
that's the lifestyle.
That's the lifestyle, and they had to do these extremes to like balance out their life to cool down and stuff like that, which is understandable. Like Bret Hart, he talks about in his book how hey, the reason I became a philanderer was because all my friends were becoming drug addicts and drunks, and that was my way to cool down. So it's like, well, fuck, I guess. And half of his friends are dead because of drugs and alcohol abuse.
Right.
And just like the ring abuse, right? So, but he's Candace Thing's book. It's like, well, we were far away from our wives, and it was tough on the road, and it gets lonely. So sometimes you get company. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of like,
yeah.
All right, man, just fucking say you fuck someone.
That's exactly one of my. I mean, I have a lot of problems with this movie, but one of my biggest problems with it is he makes such a big deal about having some sort of it in the movie. It's kept pretty vague, but like addiction, alcoholism, pills, that kind of stuff. And he doesn't even really talk about the cheating thing, which apparently is a big part of the story in his life and why he became a born again Christian. But it's just glossed over to the point where like even he's in bed many times in like hotel rooms, and you could tell how uncomfortable he was with having even just an actress laying next to him in the bed whenever he's supposed to be cheating on his wife, because they only keep the light on him and they have like pillows underneath a blanket, like he was like a teenager trying to sneak out of the house to go get drunk.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. You know, it's just I love Sting so much, and I hate that I'm talking shit on him because I'm a big fan. The thing is, back in those days, it was known that wrestlers had all kinds of groupies and stuff and all kinds of fans. And nothing wrong with that. That's just a business. But he had so much guilt. You know what I read? I read the credits too. So you know that part in the movie where he opens that letter up from his wife? That was his actual wife at the time doing the VO.
Really?
Yeah, because I read the credits. Because you look at the credits. I love looking at the credits. He's actually his actual wife to do the VO. And they got divorced, unfortunately. I feel bad. The marriage didn't work. But like, it was a thing. Where
I can see why it didn't work. He made this terrible movie.
I wonder if the movie was like the breaking point. We're like, if that movie was good, I would have stayed. But no, it was so bad. I don't know. Sex is a weird thing. I remember reading this Roger Waters interview years ago. I mean, if you're a public figure in sex, I guess that's a weird thing, right? Maybe you'll have to wrestle with it. Roger Waters said his biggest problem. What you did there. Oh, I know, right? Well, Roger Waters basically said, "Hey, my toughest time being a celebrity was just all the like being public with your like sexuality and stuff like that, or your sexual preferences, or that you have sex. Like that was a big deal for him." But Sting, like, dude, I've been to wrestling shows, like indie wrestling shows, where there's like beefcake guys come out, and the women are going crazy for them. You know what I mean? Like they're going nuts. So it's like, how do you make that bargain in your head of like, all right, I'm going to try to decrease this part of my life when it's one of the biggest parts of my like livelihood.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing too, is it's so deliberately downplayed in a way that doesn't feel real. Like even you remember the part where it's like the second time that something overtly Christian gets brought up in the movie, where he's talking to the guy on the motorcycle outside the venue after a match. And he's like, "Nah, man, I got to go back to the hotel." And his buddy, whoever he'd wrestled with earlier that night's in the limo, and he's like, "Woo!" And he's telling the limo driver, he's like, "You got to take me back to the hotel. Don't take me wherever this guy goes." Like he's being so lame and saying like, "I don't even want to go out." And then he's dealing with all of this, like, oh, these cheating feelings, and what am I going to do? It just doesn't feel like if he actually was struggling with that stuff, then show it. Like, don't half-ass the showing of what you dealt with. If you're going to be open, then be open. Don't just crack the door and expect us to be attracted by the sounds of your agony on the inside. Open the fucking door, man.
Dude, exactly. That's what you said, I mean, I think we all have things that like we struggle with and we want the public to know about. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Don't share it. Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
But there's celebrities. Also, I think maybe as a wrestling fan, maybe we expect too much out of our wrestlers and stuff like that. We want to know everything. So maybe it's unfair on our part to ask all that stuff. But there's a standard already being like, we want to know this stuff. There's other guys who are saying it. You are literally one of the best guys of all time, and you're sharing your story with us. Like, don't deprive us. Don't deprive us of the truth. Also, if you want to convert someone, the like crazy your struggle with temptation, that might resonate with someone. Like, oh fuck, I have sex addiction too, or I have porn addiction. Whatever. Oh, I'm doing pills. I'm drinking. Whatever. The more truthful you are, the more you will resonate with who you want to convert. But you're like, hey man, like the door was closed, and you know what happened was between us.
Right. Man, I didn't want to go out. I just wanted to read a sad letter from my wife. And then maybe I cheated. Who knows? You couldn't see any other women in the bed with me, so who knows if it cheated. But I'll tell you what I did do. Ran away from a guy in an alley who shook a bottle at me.
Oh, can we talk about that dream sequence?
Let's talk about that dream sequence.
That dream sequence was the whole movie itself has like 5 minutes of dialogue.
Yeah. If
you took all the dialogue, it'd make 5 minutes.
Oh my God. This movie is just paced. It's all over the map. But let's talk about the dream sequence. It's at the very end of the movie.
Okay. The dream sequence makes it worth. Okay. I bring an understanding to this movie. I was just hanging out with my friend Frankie. You know Frankie,
I
right?
love Frankie, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I had read all of Moment of Truth like in 2 hours.
Okay.
I didn't buy it just because it was like a quick read. So when I saw it, my brain filled in all the gaps. So I could watch it and just like, oh, this is him, touring in the South. Oh, this is him working in this territory. Mm-hmm. This is him in WCW. But they don't say it. It's just all like music videos, and you're supposed to fill in the gaps. Yeah,
they literally they take clips that they clearly weren't allowed to have licensed from WWF that they put in of like clips from Starrcade and stuff that they just like sort of cropped out the logo a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So like it's a bunch of music videos just paired together with like interstitials, like it's a PlayStation game or something. And then the dream sequence is like the ultimate music video. It has like that music from Blade. It has like technical music from Blade. Yeah. I think it was like New Order, like a remix from New Order. I forget which song. Confusion. Blade had a Confusion remix from I don't know who else in Blade from New Order. It was like a Confusion type New Order song, and he's like in some weird alley techno club, and like there's women coming at him.
Yeah, and the women he gets laid on an operating table, and then the surgeons then change into like hot women in nurse costumes who are like about to cut open his heart. And then it cuts to like him climbing a barbed wire fence. It's so insane. And then the movie basically, he wakes up from the dream sequence and then he says, I need Jesus in my life. And then the movie ends.
You're right. It doesn't. It just goes from there, It's the moment of truth, I guess.
That's the moment of truth.
Well, the best part is when the doctor operating on him is himself.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hope I wrote down, because I took notes and I hope I wrote down what the line was. Oh my God. I just wrote down what this dream sequence, what the fuck? Because there's a line. Oh no, the line is he keeps saying you can't handle it or something like that to himself.
Oh, is that what it is? I just thought it was so funny that he also like it made me think of a RoboCop 2 scene. If you see TV with RoboCop 2, there's a scene where they like cut a guy open. Mm-hmm. It just reminded me of that too much. Anyways, he's his own doctor operating on himself and stuff like that. That dream sequence was just wild. Then he gave a genuine performance. But it's the thing, I don't know if the director actually directed him like in his performance, or his director was just like, hey man, I'm an editor and I'm going to just fucking make a bunch of gnarly footage. The camera angles too, when they're wrestling, they're all like this. They're all like at an angle. It was just,
The camera angles were bad. The editing, I wrote, this is a note I have, is I can't decide whether the editing decisions are absolute garbage or inspired editing choices. Where if it's like, this is the absolute best they could do with what they had, which is like, we're going to cut to just Sting drinking a water bottle slowly for about 10 seconds after this match. Just his lips in the water bottle.
You're right. There's so much random shit in there that.
Let's do a weird fade from Sting's head right here on camera to Sting's head right center frame. And the slow fade is going to last 30 seconds.
You're right. And there's like parts where like it's like blurry focus or something.
Yep.
I was talking to Frankie about this earlier because he lives close to me. We've been lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about, I was like, man, no one helped him out with this. No one at any point sat down with him and was like, you know what, Sting, you're gonna need a script. You know, I don't know if they had a script.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, it's so. I mean, wrestlers work with people who understand how to put on productions. So he should know a bunch of people who he could have worked with to make this a good movie. Or at least, maybe not good, but at the very least entertaining.
What's funny? All right. So my mom is Christian, and every now and then I'll go to church with her, like in the olden times. And
okay.
She had a pretty good pastor. I never like, I was respected. I have that respect for religion because of my mom and other people. I see that it helps them out, whatever, right? I actually saw one good Christian film that like made me think about it, and everyone should go watch it. I know it's like my controversial. It was called like Potatoes. I don't know if you've seen it before. Heavenly Potatoes.
What?
All right, I know. Hear me out.
Not where I thought this was going to go. Okay,
Hear me out. It's not a Kirk Cameron movie. It's about a guy like in South Africa or Zimbabwe who is a white farmer, and he doesn't grow crops. So he prays to God, and he like brings some potatoes, but at the same time he's like a violent man, and like he's cured and healed and all this stuff, and potatoes come, and I think the potatoes are a metaphor for his renewal, right? That he's born again in God, and that's why he has these potatoes. It was actually a pretty good movie in terms of the story. You know, like I was like, all right, if you're going to want to convert people, like you got to have a good fucking production. You know what I mean?
God.
But this one, it felt like it had zero production. I feel like it was like a high school kid who made it. And another part that's just,
you know who it feels like? It feels like it's the college reporter kid who shows up wearing the Sting paint.
like that would add so
It feels like that's the guy who directed it, and then he just had a cameo for himself in the movie where he just gets to geek out and be a huge Sting fan.
Oh my God. You know what? I would not be surprised if he's the one who directed it. It's just, all right. I made a note too. I was watching it and it was just too much. I can only make one note. Let me see here real fast. Look at my wonderful notebook here. All right. There wasn't any dialogue till 5 minutes and 17 seconds in.
Yes. That was absurd.
The rest of it was him like, I know I'm an improviser and a sketch comedian. So, you know, exposition is important. You know, you only need so much. Even a narrator. There was no narrator. It's like, it begins with him watching wrestling with who you assume is his brother. All right. You assume it's his brother.
You assume it's his brother.
And then the credit said it's his cousin who's 8 years old.
Oh my God. See, that's the thing. So like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just straight up doesn't make sense. And then, you know, it starts out as the sort of middle of you're finding out just like the classic framing device of like, oh, a reporter's going to come in and ask Sting about his life. And you think it's going to be just a sort of normal biopic, just a bad biopic, but normal format, right? Where it's like somebody, you know, he's giving an interview. And then the moment he cut off the interview because he had to go wrestle, I was like, what the fuck is even going to happen in this movie after this? I was totally lost. And then the stuff started dropping in with the weird Christian, like, is this secretly a Christian movie? Like when he gets prayed in the prayer circle at the hotel lobby by the guys.
Oh, you know what's funny?
That's friends with Ted DiBiase.
The timeline is off on that too.
Oh,
I think if it's you know how like, all right, here's the thing. The book, I looked it up before this, is 126 pages. The movie itself is like
an hour and 26 minutes.
So literally it was like a sketch almost, like it's a page a minute. All right. In the book,
God.
Here's the book version. His brother's actually a Christian pastor who lived a wild life and everyone expected him to die young or whatever. He becomes a pastor. His brother tells other pastors about him. They're like in Atlanta, which is WCW capital. They're at a hotel. You know, some shit's going to go down. Mm-hmm. So he's walking to the hotel. There's a bunch of wrestlers around him, like big stars. And these pastors come during a convention and they like ask him if he wants to pray with them. And he feels this big moment of like, oh, fuck, like I can't reveal to my wrestling buddies that I have Christian tendencies or I've been having this dialogue with faith my whole life. And in the book, it's kind of powerful. Like, there was a moment in the book where I was like, oh, fuck, maybe, that might be the book that might get me. But in the movie, he glosses over it so bad. It's just like, hey, guys, I got to go. Oh, Ted DiBiase, that's awesome. I got to get to the airport. And I was like, you took the most powerful moment in your book, which isn't that big, which is lacking. And then you gloss it over. Oh, man. I love Sting so much. If he was like, I don't know, I could be a Christian right now if his movie was so powerful.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine if Sting became like the face of Christianity for an entire generation of wrestling fans?
Oh, here's the thing though. There's so many. There's Shawn. You know who Shawn Michaels is? He's a big Christian now.
Really?
He actually made He made it. Oh, that guy had like a long struggle with drugs and alcohol and stuff. He became a Christian. Ted DiBiase is a Christian. I think Jake the Snake at some point became a Christian. Because all these guys, they've lived in their minds like sinful lives,
right?
And I think they're looking for forgiveness and redemption, healing for themselves, which I won't deny anyone. And just Christianity is that thing for them.
But here's the other thing, and this is a point that it's nice that we're sort of circling back to it. So a little while ago, I did an episode about the movie God's Not Dead, and my buddy Greg Roque, we were talking about God's Not Dead as the sort of movie that like is now the sort I guess the bar set for Christian filmmaking, right? Mm-hmm. Where it looks like a movie and it's got movie stars in it to some degree, as much as Kevin Sorbo or the guy from Duck Dynasty is a movie star. But it looks like a movie and it's made like a movie and it's slick and it's good enough to get a lot of people coming out to the box office, right? And this movie, Faith and Potatoes is what the movie's officially called.
That's actually a pretty good movie. Like,
right.
I actually enjoyed it.
And there's other movies here. This movie is distributed by Affirm Films, which is a Sony outlet that produces, markets, and acquires faith-based films like Heaven is for Real, which was a huge movie. All sorts of stuff. I mean, they have just from Affirm Films alone, right? And you can also look at like PureFlix, Fox Faith, all this kind of stuff. These big media companies all have an outlet or a studio that is dedicated to making Christian film. So why, in a world where the media knows that they have a market to make like entertaining, well-made films that promote a Christian message and get Christians to the box office, why did they not go to any of those companies to get this movie made? Why did they decide to just do it all out of pocket and sell it basically out of duffel bags on Amazon?
Well, I don't know. You're right. Oh my God, that was poetic what you just said. Out of duffel bags on Amazon. Wow, that is very poetic.
I mean, this is about as parking lot out of a trunk of a movie as there ever can be.
Yeah, what's funny? This is something they will show at a church to get people to believe. I don't know. Here's what happened. After the demise of WCW, mm-hmm. Sting did not want to go to WWE because he was like the biggest WCW guy and he didn't trust them.
Okay.
So he was cut off from the WWE resources, machine, protection because he didn't feel safe with them. Unfortunately, there wasn't another group of people to be around him to be like, hey, Sting, let's guide you in this path. He trusted the wrong people to make this film. I think he's a real nice guy at heart. That's why he was such a good babyface, was that like he's just a good guy. He's he's a good guy. So he might be too nice in the sense of like, hey, like, all right, I trust you guys. And then I wonder how he reacted when he first saw it. I wonder if he was like, fuck, like, what the fuck did I just make? Or like, I'm sure there's parts he likes, but there's like 45 minutes of just like country rock music travel footage.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's literally like a whole sequence where he talks about how Hardee's saved his career and his life. And it's just him like hanging out at a Hardee's, holding up a Hardee's sign, and then signing autographs to a guy who's like, yeah, I want you to beat up Ric Flair real good for me.
Exactly. You know what's funny, man? There is so much content created right now. around wrestling in the South from like the 70s to like the demise of WCW. People love that wrestling. They hold on to it. There's so many stories he could have told, so many things he could have done. He could do a fucking TV show in his life if he wanted to, because the fans love him that much and they want to know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm disappointed, man, because I want to fucking know. And you deprived that from me, but at the same time, I get it. You know, it's weird. I get where he's coming from. I have empathy for him, but as a wrestling fan, I'm pissed off.
That's the thing is like, I am just pissed off because I feel like it's a missed opportunity in order to show, like, as we've mentioned before, wrestling takes a huge toll and has proven to with the, as we see what's happened to professional wrestlers over the years, the living and the dead. And we see what happens to their minds and their bodies and their spirits, as what happens to why people, turn to religion or 12-step programs in recovery to like change their life and fill something that they are no longer able to have filled by the lifestyle that they were at when they were big wrestlers.
Yeah.
I would so much rather see, if you're going to tell us, hey, I struggled with these things, I want to see the struggle instead of just having moments where you're like staring into the dark going, man, I gotta stop doing pills.
Yeah, stop doing pills.
That's it.
Man.
I just want to see the struggle in a way that's not, that just like, we don't get to see the struggle for Sting in this. We don't. And it's such a shame because it really does feel like it's a missed opportunity.
If they showed him down in Atlanta, which is like the WCW capital, they show him at a bar after a show, and just that bar scene, just the bar scene of all the wrestlers, they just had a great night. Everyone's drinking, partying. There's fans around, women and men. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of palpable energy in that room. You don't even have to have dialogue there. You could just use all the camera work to tell the story of like the energy. Those guys must have had so much energy when they walked into a room. When I used to work at Disneyland, actually, I used to work at Disneyland. This is random. It was WrestleMania weekend when WrestleMania was at Staples Center. This is years ago.
Okay.
And Batista was wrestling that weekend. Batista came to my restaurant. He came to my restaurant, and the dude is fucking gigantic. He's like 6'6" or something. And he was like so musculature. He came in with a baseball cap. Celebrities wear baseball caps to try to be anonymous. But the dude is so big, he can't be anonymous. He can't hide. So everywhere, I felt bad for him. I served him pasta, and he ate a kid's pasta too because he's so big. And I was like, the thing is, I met celebrities before, like at Disneyland, just like that, like serving them food, nothing special. And I'm kind of like, you know what? They're going to Disneyland. I'm just going to be a regular person because that's what they want. They don't want to be, oh my God, Batista. But I felt bad for him everywhere he went. He's like, kids would come up to him and bug him and stuff like that. But I'm wondering how must have been him if he entered a nightclub like that. If he entered a nightclub, just like he's ready to just be in the nightclub. So just that scene, he deprived us of so much. And
you know what we get instead of that scene? What we could have had was we just get a scene where it's like him sitting at a bar with a mug of beer that is just sitting in front of him, where it's like slow. That's faded in the background, where it's just like, oh, there's a lady who's part of a cover band singing on stage somewhere right now, and that's it. You get instead of getting this interesting story that could be told, you just get him sitting there with like screensaver level filmmaking.
Oh my God. Yes. All right. So just so you guys know, I went to Catholic school for a long time. So I don't know about Christianity, stuff like that. And in college, I wrote my thesis on a Catholic subject. It was me kind of like exercising or dealing with my last remnants of Catholicism, stuff like that. So just so everyone know, I'm putting out there so it's obvious. There's a book called like The Confessions of St. Augustine, where this guy was one of the biggest Christian theologians of all time. Very important. He talks openly about all the shit he did, like how he lived in whores and like did all these vices. And he's just like, I was a fucking sinner and that's what I needed to be saved. And like, I'm like, fucker, show your sin. Like all the movies that people like about redemption, we believe in redemption stories because we see how hard it was to get to that point.
Right.
You know, if we don't show the struggle, the pain and stuff like that, like the movie The Wrestler, when it came out, people loved that movie, all the wrestling fans, because that guy was such a like human car wreck, you know?
Yeah, I loved The Wrestler because it's just like you see the struggle, but also you see the aftermath of years of struggle that has taken a toll on him, in addition to like the struggle of the present moment. And it's just like the way, I mean, I thought that The Wrestler was going to be the saddest movie about wrestling I'd ever seen, but it turns out now it's Sting Moment of Truth. And it's just because it's just a waste. It could have been wrestler quality good.
Oh my God. You know, I just realized, okay, the person who's amazing at making you feel cringe, but at the same time, like pity and sad and hopeless, a bunch of things at once, is Danny McBride in Eastbound and Down. If you watch Eastbound and Down, I can't watch it again. It's too much. Because you're like, you want to root for him, but he fucking sabotages himself with these terrible fucking things. But he shows it. He doesn't tell you like, hey, so I'm going to do pills. He does the pills. Oh yeah, I'm going to do steroids now. I'm going to cheat on my wife. All this stuff. Like you never know dialogue it's shown. But at the same time, like, fuck, man, he wants to change so bad, but he gets in his way all the time. He's his own worst enemy.
Right.
So you end up rooting for him. But with Sting, like, I am rooting because I'm a fan, but it's kind of like, bro, like, just show your sin. You know what? I should show my sin too if I'm going to try to convert people or whatever. Like,
exactly.
I should be open.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, I want to feel bad for him because I understand his struggle, right? Like, I'm a sober person. I've been sober for about, 5 years and change now. I understand the struggles of addiction and alcoholism, but I can't empathize with the guy who's like keeping everything hidden and saying, oh, well, you guys should just put the pieces together. No, just show us the pieces. Your life's not a fucking puzzle, Sting. You're a professional wrestler. Show us some bombast. Show us do some fucking showmanship, dude.
It's funny. You bring a good perspective too, because I'm a Sting fan. I'm an ultimate Sting fan. So I'm doing my best to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not the person he needs to convince. Not even to convert me to Christianity, whatever. Just to get you to watch the movie and walk out of there and be like, hey, man, that was fun. For you who have for just a regular person to be like, fuck, I had to do all this mental gymnastics to puzzle a message that in your mind was obvious, but to me isn't. Oh, you're right. It is a missed opportunity. And you know what? That's a bigger theme too. The movies I hate the most, all right, movies that I truly hate, I just never watch them again. The movies that I watch again, like RoboCop 3 or something, like, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
What a missed opportunity.
It really does feel like a missed opportunity. And I think the note that I wrote down that, to me at least, signifies that the most is I wrote down, how do you clean up your act when you're so boring already? And that's the thing, is because, like, I know that Sting as a wrestler and as a human being has not lived a boring life. I know this because I read his Wikipedia page. I did some research on the guy and saw, how long his career has been. And you get to hear some of the story about his career and his struggles with addiction and stuff. So I know he's not a boring guy, but this movie is a boring movie. And the character of Sting in this is a boring character. And I don't give a shit about him. And I don't give a shit about if he cleans up his act and finds God or whatever he needs, because he's boring. And it doesn't seem like he really has any actual problems in his life. And that, to me, is the biggest missed opportunity.
You're right. He doesn't. The promise of Sting is never delivered. The promise of the story of his struggle is never delivered. And it's sad because we just see this before of him like making it, and then we see him at the top. And you're right. It was so weird. I thought the whole movie would have been him and the interviewer, and then it would end up him going to wrestle a match or something, credits roll. But literally the interviewer just leaves.
He just leaves.
And then we see him like in the hotel room. That they did so many fucking scenes in that hotel room too. It was like being in a sketch shoot. Like when you're in a sketch shoot, all right, we got to get the most out of this set.
Yeah.
You know, we got to film as many scenes as possible. They got the most out of that set that day. It's just like the story wasn't there. It's like, oh fuck, I thought the reporter's perspective. No, it turns out you're the character the whole fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now we're here. Oh man, it was just like, fuck.
It was just fuck, man, dude. It's just a total travesty of, because it could have been like if the story was good and the script was better. I mean, then
if there was a
script, then it could have been at least passable, right? Or if the script still didn't exist, but the production value was much higher, sure, then you got a bunch of people watching it and you're going to make your budget back. But this, it just makes me sad.
It does make me sad. You know, it makes me sad. You know what? It inspires me. It wants me to write a better version of it. I'm going to go write a better version
of this. And get like, Danny McBride to star in it. Because I feel like I would love to see Danny McBride play a wrestler down on his luck.
Dude, he would fucking own it. He would own it so much. Mm-hmm. And like, I just love wrestling. I love staying. I'm going to go write a better version of it. It's just inspired by this fucking crap movie that a hero tarnishes legacy with.
I want to see your version of Sting Moment of Truth, but it's like the pop star Never Stop, Never Stopping of Sting Moment of Truth. And I will gladly help you get that movie made. I will be the person who rents the hotel. I'll get that hotel room set up. And you know what? We're going to put some actual lights inside the hotel room this time. How's that sound?
Was there a fog machine in that hotel room too? It was so gloomy. You know, just one more thing, just so everyone knows. All right. Mm-hmm. If there's a reason you should watch it, it's just because there's literally multiple music videos of cross-country travel where they play all kinds of Southern rock. That's just like a rhythm and a bunch of solos. Mm-hmm. And if you count it, there's probably like 50 solos in there.
Yeah, a lot of solos. I will say, Fernando, I'm so glad that you brought this movie to me. Like, this is truly, even as weird and bad as it was, this is a film experience as a film fan that like I've never had an experience like this watching a movie. It's so rare, and I appreciate that you showed me this. So thank you. Truly.
I know, man. Just so you know, I was gonna pick Clifford, which don't go watch. If you've seen Clifford, that movie sucks. But I was like, no, this is the movie. I'm telling you, I struggled with this. I struggled. See, I'm showing you my struggle. I was like, no, I don't want to throw my hero in the bad light, but this movie truly is awful.
This is a real, it is. But it is what it is, man. And we got through it, and we're here stronger on the other side, just like Sting after he converted to Christianity.
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Fernando, thank you. Where can the listeners find you and your stuff if they want to see what you're up to?
Sure. I write a poem every day on Instagram. Just follow me at Fernando A. Funes. That's Funes. I'm sorry. The Latinx County Pachanga. Go follow them. I do shows with them all the time. Follow us, 69th of John Lopez, which was born from the wonderful eBay Power Sling 101, which you should all watch every Wednesday, which is one of the best shows ever.
Thank you.
And always producing Twitch shows. We got a big Twitch show coming up. There's always big Twitch shows coming up. But just IG is your best bet to get me on. And Facebook, too. Add me on Facebook. Hey, why not?
Why not? Add him and talk about wrestling. And you can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates, live and live streamed. If you're in LA, I got a weekly show that's outdoors, outdoor stand-up. If you want to go see a COVID-safe comedy show outside, I got you covered. Yeah, that's about it. Fernando, thank you again, dude.
For sure, man. Thanks again.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change. See ya.